You're going to learn how to repair a cracked masonry foundation wall using two products designed to work together. The first is the Drycore Pro Concrete Repair Crack Injection Kit. This is what the box looks like, and this is what's inside. The second product is the Carbon Fiber Reinforcement Kit. This is what it looks like on the shelf, and this is what you get inside the box. Using these products is simple, it's easy to learn, and the results are actually stronger than the surrounding concrete. Step 1. Injection port installation and superficial crack sealing. Begin by installing plastic injection ports all along the crack about every 18 inches or so. These are anchored with epoxy paste. Put some paste down first, and then nestle the injection port into it. Later on, we'll be taking these ports off, but for now, they're really important. Here I am applying the epoxy paste to a block mock-up, so a simulated crack, and the port just simply goes on there like that. The epoxy is viscous enough that it will hold the port steady, but if there's any question that the epoxy might be plugging up the port where it meets the masonry, you'll want to insert a bamboo skewer in there to keep the hole open while the epoxy cures. The next step involves sealing over the surface of the crack with the same epoxy anchoring paste you just used. The idea here is to seal the crack superficially. We'll be injecting expanding foam in the next step, and in order to contain that, we have to have the crack completely sealed. Back to the concrete block mock-up again, and I'm applying some of the epoxy anchoring paste to the surface. Remember, just superficially. I don't want to inject it into the crack in any way. And when I have enough on the surface, then I'm tooling that over to make a smooth and sealed surface. It doesn't really matter what you use. I'm using a wooden wedge here, but just something that's disposable to smooth and tool that over and seal the crack. That's what we want to do at this stage, before letting everything cure fully. This takes a minimum of 2 to 3 hours, but leave it as long as necessary to get fully hard. Step 2. Fill the crack full by injection. Beginning with the lowest port and moving upwards, inject the polyurethane until you can see it starting to come out the next port higher. When that happens, cap off the port that you've been injecting in, and then move the injection gun to the next port higher, and repeat the process until you're all the way at the top of the wall. The Drycore kit you're using here contains expanding polyurethane foam as the sealing agent, and when that's fully hard, you can knock off the injection ports and get ready for the next step. Step 3, surface grinding. At this stage, this is kind of what your repair area will look like. The injection ports have been knocked off, but the surface sealing epoxy is still there, and we need to grind that off so that the wall surface is smooth and bare, and the only place where you see any kind of filler is the actual crack itself. Here I am using a diamond wheel in an angle grinder. I'm working on that concrete block mock-up that you saw before, so if I was actually grinding a wall, that surface would be vertical instead of horizontal, but the idea is the same. You just want to work back and forth, removing all the epoxy, getting down to bare masonry to create that flat surface that the epoxy and the carbon fiber fabric will adhere to very well. Step 4, carbon fiber fabric reinforcement. At this stage, it's time for you to use the second kit that I mentioned at the beginning of the video. That's the carbon fiber reinforcement kit. All the epoxy sealing layer has been removed, and either side of the crack is scuffed and cleaned by the action of that cup wheel and the angle grinder. Using the epoxy tube that came in the carbon fiber kit, squirt some epoxy around the whole area, kind of in a back and forth way, and then use a small roller to wet the surface and to roll it out evenly in preparation for applying the carbon fiber fabric that comes next. Push the fabric into the epoxy on the wall surface, making the length of carbon fiber fabric as long as possible while the crack is still no closer than 2 or 3 inches from the edge of that particular piece of fabric. Overlap the pieces as needed when you move from one to the other until the whole area is covered in the fabric. At this stage, you're almost done. You just need to apply more epoxy to the surface of the carbon fiber and roll it in. So you not only have the carbon fiber bonded to the foundation wall, but it's also encased in epoxy for maximum strength. When everything's fully cured, your repair will be stronger than the surrounding masonry.